The morning of my daughter's ninth birthday began with laughter, bright colors, and the kind of anticipation only children know how to hold. She had been talking about this day since April, marking it off on a calendar she taped to the fridge, circling the date in pink marker and writing little notes under it: cookies and cream cake, balloons, music, basketball hoop. I wanted so badly for that picture in her head to match the day she lived. We worked for it. The backyard was strung with streamers, a new hoop gleamed under the sun. Balloons bobbed and tapped against each other with every light breeze. A speaker in the corner hummed with her favorite playlist. It wasn't extravagant, but it was exactly what a 9-year-old deserved: a backyard party stitched together with love. She waited by the gate as guests arrived, eyes lighting up each time the latch clicked, dimming when it wasn't who she hoped for. A few of her classmates came giggling in small clusters, chasing each other between balloons, helping themselves to slices of cake. From the outside, anyone walking past would have thought it was a cheerful gathering. But I was watching her, really watching. Every time she glanced at the gate, a tiny shadow crossed her face. She was waiting for cousins, for grandparents, for family who had promised directly or indirectly that they were constants. They never came. She asked me once, then again, if I thought they might be stuck in traffic. I smiled tightly, told her maybe. But I knew the gate would stay quiet. The party wound down, and the cake, her favorite cookies and cream, was eaten by those who showed up. My husband coaxed her into blowing out the candles, opening presents, smiling for pictures. She did it because she's a good kid, but her smile was the kind you wear when someone tells you to. Later, she stacked her gifts carefully, looked at the balloons swaying above her, and asked if we could leave them up just in case. I tucked her in that night and kissed her forehead, my heart aching at the hope she still clung to. No one called. Not my parents, not my sister Lily, not even a lazy "sorry we couldn't make it" text. The silence was almost worse than the absence itself, like the day didn't exist for them. That night, anger pushed its way up, mixing with something sharper: resolve. I opened the family group chat and typed, "Thanks for remembering your niece and granddaughter's birthday. She had a great time without you." I saw the read receipts pop up. No replies. In the morning, I half hoped against reason that someone would realize how wrong it was. Instead, a single message arrived. It was from Lily. It's not like it was a big birthday. 9 isn't even a milestone. I stared at that message until the words blurred. I thought of my daughter's eyes searching the gate, her small voice asking if they were stuck in traffic, her fake smile for the camera. How could anyone reduce that to a milestone number? I didn't reply. What could I say to someone who believed joy needed a 0 to count? By Thursday, when I thought the week couldn't sting more, a notification appeared on my phone. 2,900 withdrawn from my account. My heart lurched. I thought fraud at first, but when I opened the details, the truth slapped me. A week earlier, my dad had called saying their plumbing had failed, that the plumber needed to be paid same day, that it would cost $600. I was already busy with party prep and work, but I agreed to cover it temporarily. He asked for my card. I gave it, intending to get it back the next day. With everything going on, I forgot. That was my mistake. What they did with it was theirs. Instead of 600, they drained 2,900. I called my dad. No answer. I called again, straight to voicemail. I tried Lily. Nothing. I sent a message to the group chat. "Where's the 2,900 from my account?" Silence. I felt the blood pounding in my ears. Finally, I sent one more message. "Wait for a call from my lawyer." Exactly 10 minutes later, chaos erupted. Voice notes flooded in from Lily, her voice shrill, accusing, frantic. "You're overreacting. You can't threaten us like this." Then my father started calling back to back, as if sheer persistence would erase the theft. My mother finally texted me directly. "Don't do anything crazy." We were going to explain. Explain what? That 4 days after ignoring their granddaughter's birthday, they had decided my bank account was their vacation fund. 2 hours later, my father showed up at my door, holding my card like it was a peace offering. No apology, no shame. He said they'd gone to the Keys with friends, that they deserved a break, that it was easier to use my card now and settle later. He said it so casually, like borrowing sugar from a neighbor. He actually told me he thought I would understand. I stood there, my daughter, playing quietly in the other room, listening to this man justify stealing nearly $3,000 from me days after making a child wait by a gate for people who never came. He didn't look embarrassed. He didn't look sorry. He looked annoyed at my anger. He said, "We needed it more than you did." I took the card from his hand and said nothing, because if I opened my mouth, I wasn't sure what would come out. He left thinking, I'm sure that later we'd smooth it over like always. But later was gone. Something inside me had shifted. I wasn't going to play their reliable scapegoat anymore. I wasn't going to be the family wallet, the family babysitter, the one who always patched holes in a ship they kept drilling through. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling until dawn crept in. I thought about my daughter's quiet eyes on her birthday, the empty gate, the stolen money, and every single time I'd understood. I thought about groceries, bills, emergencies, rent. I'd paid for Lily for months while they praised her for focusing on law school. I thought about the dishwasher and stove I'd bought them $600 out of pocket. And I realized they weren't struggling. They weren't failing. They were surviving off me because I let them. And that was over. The next morning, I opened the group chat and typed, "You spent $2,900 that wasn't yours. I expect it back by Friday." When I hit send, my hands trembled, but my chest felt lighter. The message hung in the group chat like a warning flare. "You spent $2,900 that wasn't yours. I expect it back by Friday. For an hour?" Nothing. Then Lily read it and said nothing. Later that night, my mom responded with the kind of apology that isn't an apology at all. "We'll work something out after the trip. It's been a hard year, Eliza. We're not in a good place financially." My jaw clenched so hard I thought I'd crack a tooth. Not in a good place financially. They were in the Keys, sipping margaritas, the trip funded with money stolen from my account. The words rattled inside me until a sharper truth formed. They weren't ever going to pay me back. Not for the $2,900, not for the dishwasher and stove, not for the countless temporary loans I had covered. They had never intended to. The more I thought about it, the clearer the pattern became. They expected me to step in, and I always had. They relied on my silence as much as my money. That morning, I decided the silence was over. Lily's rent had been on my shoulders for more than a year. $750, wired faithfully each month, because my parents insisted she needed to focus on law school, and because I could handle it. I called her landlord directly. My voice shook only a little as I told him that starting next month, Lily would be responsible for her full rent. He hesitated, surprised, then said he'd make sure she knew. After I hung up, I went to the family chat and wrote, "I'm no longer covering Lily's rent. She can speak with Mom and Dad if she needs help." This time, the silence didn't last long. Lily called within minutes. I let it ring. She called again. Then the messages began. At first, they were polite, almost pleading. "Please, Eliza, I wasn't the one who took your money. Don't punish me for their mistake." Then desperation bled through. "This will ruin me. I'm already behind. My professors are pressuring me. If I lose my apartment, I'll have to drop out." I put my phone face down on the counter. For once, I didn't feel guilty. Her words scrolled across the screen while I folded laundry and made dinner. She escalated. "You're being cruel. You're punishing your own family. You're hurting me just to make a point." Still, I didn't reply. She must have felt the void on the other side, because the messages twisted again, dripping with guilt. And then came the one line I didn't think she'd ever write. "If you cared about me even half as much as you care about your daughter, you wouldn't do this." I froze. It wasn't even an insult. It was arrogance. The belief that she was entitled to my support simply because she was my sister, that my love for her should manifest as rent checks on demand. Like I owed her survival because I happened to be responsible. As if wiring $750 every month had been her right, not my choice. The message sat unanswered. I refused to dignify it. For 2 days, the family chat went silent. My parents didn't call. No mention of the birthday. No apology for the money. Just the thick silence of people waiting me out, assuming I'd cave. But something inside me had calcified. The old Eliza might have wavered, might have sent another payment just to keep the peace. The new me. She was done funding peace built on her own depletion. 3 days later, my phone buzzed with an unexpected call. My aunt, who rarely reached out, spoke in a hesitant voice. She'd been at my parents' house and noticed something odd. The side room, the one with my old things, had been cleared out completely. My comic collection, 20 years' worth of careful hunting and saving, had vanished. My chest tightened. I drove over unannounced, my spare key cool against my palm. The house was empty, but the room was worse. Bare walls, a vacuum in the corner, a few boxes of junk shoved aside. Gone were the shelves that had once held my pride. First edition signed issues, rare finds I'd won at auctions and guarded like treasures. My childhood, my passion, my history erased. I texted my father immediately. "Where is my comic collection?" Hours passed. Finally, a message blinked back. "We needed the room. You never came to get it. It was collecting dust." "Don't be dramatic." My hands shook as I read it. I waited for a second text to soften the blow, something like, "It's boxed in the garage." Nothing came. That was it. His explanation. His dismissal. He knew what that collection meant to me, knew the hours, the sacrifices, the memories packed into those boxes. And yet he erased it with a shrug. It wasn't carelessness. It was punishment. A reminder that I was disposable. I sat in my car outside their house, the steering wheel biting into my palms. My father hadn't just stolen money. He had stolen my history. He had declared that what mattered to me didn't matter at all. And something in me went still. Not fiery, not raging, but cold, hard, final. I didn't send another message. I didn't call. Instead, I thought about leverage, about what they still had of mine. One thing came to mind: the SUV, the old but reliable vehicle I had loaned my father for a few months over a year ago when his car broke down. It had sat in their driveway so long it looked like it belonged to them. He had changed the insurance address, used it daily, treated it as his. But the title was still mine, and if they thought I'd let them keep stealing pieces of me, they were wrong. The decision settled into me like steel. They had taken my money. They had erased my daughter's birthday. They had gutted my collection, 20 years of memories, packed into boxes without hesitation or remorse. The SUV in their driveway was the last string they thought they could tug, but I was about to cut it clean. The next morning, I gathered the paperwork. Title, registration, insurance, every document still bore my name. I called the DMV to update the address, called the insurance company to remove my father as a listed driver, and arranged for a tow truck to be on standby. Then I drove to their house, the spare key heavy in my pocket. The SUV sat gleaming in the driveway like it belonged there, like it had roots in the concrete. I walked straight to it, unlocked the door, and began pulling my things out of the back. That was when the front door opened. My father appeared, coffee cup in hand, squinting as though I'd come to deliver a newspaper. He frowned, then laughed, a sound sharp as broken glass. "What are you doing?" he asked, voice pitched halfway between disbelief and mockery. "Taking back my car," I said flatly, not pausing. He shook his head, chuckling like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "Don't be ridiculous. I need it. You can't just do this to me." I stopped and faced him. "I can, because it's mine. And because you've taken enough from me already." His smile vanished. His voice rose, overreacting over some old books and a birthday party. "You're willing to throw away your family over this." I looked him dead in the eye. "No, I'm throwing away the version of family that means I get stolen from, ignored, and erased. You let your granddaughter wait by the gate on her birthday. You drained my account for a vacation. You destroyed what mattered most to me. You don't get to keep my things anymore." His face flushed red. He sputtered, demanded I be the bigger person like always, but I had already finished clearing the car. I slid into the driver's seat, turned the key, and felt the engine rumble beneath me. For once, I wasn't shaking. I wasn't begging. I wasn't justifying. I pulled out of the driveway, leaving him shouting in the rearview mirror. That night, 2 missed calls blinked on my phone, then a voicemail. His voice thundered through the speaker. "We need to talk. You've gone too far. You're destroying this family. You're unstable, ungrateful. After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me." I listened until the end, then saved it into the folder on my laptop labeled Evidence. 3 days passed in silence, the kind that feels unnatural, like the pause between thunderclaps when you know another bolt is coming. It came in the form of a small cardboard box left on my porch, my name scrawled across the top in handwriting I'd learned before I could spell. My father's. I carried it inside, shook it. Something rattled. I slit the tape with trembling hands. Ash spilled out. Ash and scraps of paper burned to near dust. Some still held fragments of color corners of covers I knew by heart. X-Men #4. The Killing Joke. Detective Comics #475. The rare Spider-Man crossover I had won at auction. My stomach turned. He had burned what remained of my collection. Cremated it. Packaged it. Delivered it to my door without a note, without a word, without even the decency of denial. I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the pile of ashes, at the deliberate cruelty in every grain. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. A message, if I would not play my role, he would erase me piece by piece until nothing was left. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just went still. The part of me that had once hoped for their love, for recognition, for any scrap of apology, it snapped clean. The last tether was gone. The next morning, I opened my laptop, logged into the garage app for the Lexus I had also given them years earlier, and shut off their access. The car had been in my name all along. I called a tow company. By 6 that evening, the Lexus was gone. At 6:42 p.m., my phone rang. My father. Against my better judgment, I answered. He didn't ask about my daughter. He didn't mention her birthday or the ashes now sitting in my trash can. He didn't apologize. Instead, he launched into accusations, his voice spitting venom through the line. "You're unstable. You're ungrateful. You're trying to destroy us. Do you want the whole neighborhood to know how dangerous you are? After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me." I let him rant, let his words wash over me like static. When he finally stopped long enough to breathe, I said evenly, "You're not well. And I'm not playing along anymore." Silence. Then a pause so long I thought the call had dropped. Finally, he said bitterly, "So that's it. After everything." "Yes," I said, "that's exactly it." The line went dead. My screen went still. And for the first time in years, I felt peace. Not joy, not triumph. Just peace. The absence of chaos, the quiet that follows when you finally close a door and lock it. But the story didn't end there. 2 days later, my phone buzzed with a name I almost didn't answer. Lily. When Lily's name flashed on my screen, I almost let it ring into silence. After weeks of venom guilt and entitlement, I had no reason to expect anything different. But something told me to pick up. Her voice, when it came, startled me. Not sharp, not demanding, quiet. "I know everything's broken," she said, "and I know I didn't stop them when I should have." The words tumbled out haltingly as if she'd rehearsed them and still couldn't believe she was saying them aloud. I waited. "I didn't agree with what they did," she continued. "I didn't know about the comics until after. By then, I thought you'd never answer if I reached out. I was scared you'd cut me off forever. For a moment, I couldn't breathe." My sister, who had hurled guilt at me like daggers, now sounded like a child stripped bare of armor. "I'm not asking for anything," she said quickly. "I just need you to know I don't have them. They don't help me. Not with rent, not with school, not with anything. It's just me. I'm drowning." Her confession cracked something in me, not forgiveness, but recognition. She wasn't them, not entirely. She was orbiting their gravity, pulled into their patterns, but maybe still capable of stepping out. I asked softly, "How much is your rent?" She hesitated. $7.50. "You'll have it tomorrow," I said. There was a pause, a ragged breath. "I'll pay you back. I don't know when, but I will." "It's not about the money," I told her. And it wasn't. It was about the line. About who had crossed it and who was trying, however clumsily, to step back. I'm not naive. A single honest conversation doesn't erase years of silence or entitlement, but it was something, one green shoot pushing through scorched earth. Lily began sending me receipts every month, unasked proof of accountability to herself as much as to me. We checked in tentatively at first, then more steadily. About assignments, about exhaustion, about nothing in particular. For once, she wasn't demanding. She was simply there. My parents, on the other hand, stayed silent. My mother avoided me in the grocery store, turning down an aisle the moment our eyes met. My father tried once more to leave a voicemail, but it was the same song, blame, indignation, never remorse. I deleted it without listening to the end. Weeks later, a letter arrived in careful, shaky cursive. No return address, just my name. I recognized the handwriting instantly. My grandfather. We hadn't spoken in years, not from bitterness, but distance. He had moved out west after my grandmother passed. Our contact had dwindled to Christmas cards and perfunctory calls. Inside, the words nearly undid me. He wrote that he had heard whispers of what happened, pieced together through cousins. He wrote that he knew my father had always been difficult, manipulative, prone to cruelty, dressed as authority. "I've watched him hurt people for as long as I can remember," he wrote. "I regret not stepping in more when you were young. But I want you to know I'm proud of you. It takes more strength than most to say no to your own blood. I wish I had learned that sooner." At the end, a simple offer: "I've got a spare room. If you ever need to get away, it's yours. No questions, no judgment." Tears blurred the page. For so long, I had carried the weight of thinking my bloodline was rotten end to end. That letter reminded me it wasn't. Some roots grow crooked, others strong. Sometimes you have to choose which ones to water. I called him that night. We didn't speak about my parents. We spoke about weather, about his dog, about my daughter's obsession with planets. Before hanging up, he repeated, "The room's there if you need it. And I love you, kid." The kind of love without conditions. The next birthday came quietly. My daughter asked if the balloons could stay up again. I told her yes, even though we both knew the gate would remain closed. Friends came, laughter echoed, and this time, her smile was whole, unforced, radiant. My husband snapped a photo of her holding a telescope my grandfather had sent, her face tilted toward the night sky, eyes wide with wonder. Later, as I looked at that photo, I realized something important. My family hadn't just ghosted her birthday, or stolen my money, or burned my collection. They had given me the clearest truth: they weren't capable of love that didn't cost me. I had spent years confusing my depletion with devotion. But love without respect isn't love. It's confiscation. Peace, I've learned, isn't fireworks. It's quiet. It's sleeping through the night without dread. It's my daughter saying casually, "You laugh more now." It's realizing I don't miss them. I miss the idea of who I wanted them to be. And finally, I've accepted that missing an idea isn't the same as needing the people. So I live differently now. I still help Lily while she finds her footing, because she asked honestly. I still call my grandfather because he sees me without needing to take from me. And I still tell my daughter the truth. Sometimes even grown-ups don't know how to be kind. And when that happens, we set boundaries, not because we're cruel, but because we're brave. If you've ever been the reliable one, the family wallet, the scapegoat, who keeps everything running at the expense of yourself, let my story remind you you are allowed to say no. You are allowed to keep what's yours, and you are allowed to build a life that shines without their approval. If this story gave you strength, please like the video, share it with someone who needs the courage to set their own boundaries. Subscribe for more true stories and comment below with the moment you finally said enough.